We are fortunate to have a fantastic landmark in the center of the city, and we decided to use existing venues when we could, and otherwise go to temporary venues in order not to construct a lot of venues, and we use the architectural heritage of Paris, and we will have the new sports, the urban sports in La Concorde. That will be fantastic images. The beach volleyball at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, again, something quite extraordinary. Equestrian at Château de Versailles, archery on the gardens of des Invalides. So all this will be stunning imagery for the world and fantastic stage for the athletes to compete.
Let's go through a list of what happened during the Paris Climate Conference, because there are a lot of strange details that should be pointed out, lots of things that appeared to slip under the radar that people missed. Before we do that, let us return to an oddity. Bilderberg member Laurent Fabius, who made repeated and deliberate speeches that climate chaos would be unavoidable if it was not solved by the last day, September 23, 2015.
On the edge of a climatic abyss. In fact, we have 500 days to avoid a climate chaos.
Gaius Octavius, better known as Augustus Caesar, was born into nobility on September 23, 63 BC, although he never recognized the title of emperor. Augustus Caesar was the first of the ruling Julio-Claudian dynasty to reign in Rome. Before Augustus's centralization of power, Rome was ruled by a series of suffects, but Augustus changed that entire system, becoming the sole ruler. His family, the Julians, gave birth to some of the greatest tyrants the world had ever seen, including the merciless Caligula and the mentally insane Nero. Members of the Julio-Claudian dynasty believed themselves to be descendants of another race from the Dawn Star, also known as the Venus. Members of this dynasty were so convinced that they descended from this otherworldly race that they would actually dress up as the goddess Venus. Even the ruthless Caligula would cross-dress and put on women's garbs that made him look like a goddess.
The Grand Palace of Versailles, built for a French king, playing host to British royalty. King Charles, Queen Camilla, royal splendour at the heart of the French Republic. President Macron rolling out the red carpet for the king and his band of Brits. Rockstar diplomacy and dinner in the Hall of Mirrors, an opulent ballroom once designed to dazzle guests of King Louis XIV centuries ago, doing just that tonight. Charles thanking the host with a speech delivered mostly in French, a year and 1 day since the Queen's funeral, telling guests, "My family and I were so greatly moved by the tributes paid in France to my mother. Rolling down the Champs-Élysées, sunroof open, Paris got a taste of the pageantry." His Majesty kicking off formalities at the Arc de Triomphe. It's a moment that echoes his mother, Queen Elizabeth's last state visit here in 2014. Now, almost a decade on, King Charles is front and centre, looking to reset this relationship in a post-Brexit world. In Paris, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Tens of thousands of people have attended a mass held by Pope Francis at Marseille's Velodrome Stadium. The pontiff was in the port city to preside over the closing session at a gathering of Catholic bishops from the Mediterranean area. Earlier, the Pope challenged French President Emmanuel Macron and other European leaders on their immigration policies. He called on governments to deal with the issue humanely.
Bienvenue à Marseille. Bienvenue à Marseille cet après-midi. Bravo. Bien.
But it all started with Caesar Augustus, born on September 23rd, 63 BC, who would adopt the title Divi Filius, which means Son of God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem of the Holy See, followed by the national anthem of the United States.
If such an urgency, why did Laurent Fabius spearhead this meeting of nations for November 30th through December 13th? The deadline to avoid climate chaos has already passed. This does not make sense. That's oddity number 1. Oddity number 2. What did Pope Francis say at the start of the climate conference in Paris? He said the following: "We are on the edge of suicide, but I am sure that just about everybody meeting in Paris is aware of this and wants to do something." What on earth is Pope Francis talking about? Is he merely emphasizing climate change by saying we are on the edge of suicide, or perhaps is he hinting at something else? Oddity number 3. Pope Francis sent a large, very prominent delegation to Paris, although the Vatican had no negotiating power during the Paris talks. In spite of this, some commentators have suggested that Pope Francis and his delegation are the chief negotiators behind the scenes, and are the major reason for the urgency behind the Paris Convention. One of the Vatican's chief negotiators, Bernardino Ayuza, said, "We have seen a universal willingness to arrive at an accord that is ambitious, legally binding, and transformative." Obviously, it was the Vatican's quest to assure a climate treaty that was legally binding of all countries that agreed to it.
We want to take the games almost outside the stadium. Another thing we want to do to open the games is a marathon event and a mass cycling event. So after the marathon with the Olympic athletes, you'll be able to run in the same condition of the athletes the Olympic marathon or the Olympic cycling event. And that's a first in the history of the Games, and this is something we're very excited about. Every Games has its soul, and we hope that the Paris 2024 soul will be one of joyful celebration of sport.
Oddity number 4. Nearly every single country, 196, approved the climate treaty. What kind of treaty could have brought together countries who normally disagree with each other on just about everything? What kind of treaty could have convinced all the countries in attendance to sign on? What kind of urgency was there in such a treaty? Oddity number 5. The draft of the climate resolution has been kept secret from the public and will only be revealed after it has been finalized and approved. No details have been publicly released about the finalized draft that was voted on by member nations. Oddity number 6. A large globe was hung inside the Eiffel Tower to celebrate COP21 in Paris. The globe depicted the all-seeing eye and Earth crisis below it and a large teardrop with the Earth inside of it. Let us not convince ourselves that the Paris COP21 was an innocent and harmless meeting. We are in the year of light, according to the United Nations.
So I believe this moment can be a turning point for the world. We've shown that the world has both the will and the ability to take on this challenge.
You can see Napoleon with the Masonic symbol here, the hidden hand.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump, we're all cut from the same cloth.
Here's a Masonic lodge in France. Pretty creepy. You got the moon and the sun over the all-seeing eye. And this is a mockery of God. You know, in the Bible, God is watching over us, and Satanists like to imitate, to counterfeit God, with the all-seeing eye watching over us. Now, this is a bit off topic, but I want to play a clip from this song from the Alan Parsons Project called Eye in the Sky. And what do you see here? Behind them, the Eye of Lucifer.
It won't be easy. Progress won't always come quick. We cannot be complacent. While our generation will see some of the benefits of building a clean energy economy, jobs created, money saved, we may not live to see the full realization of our achievement, but that's okay.
On the edge of a climatic abyss.
Very important issue of climate change, climate chaos, and we have, I said that we had 500 days to avoid climate chaos, and I know that President Obama and John Kerry himself are committed on this subject, and I'm sure that them, with a lot of other friends, should be able to reach success.
Take a listen to some of this here. The lyrics from this song, the occultic meaning. You know, a lot of these songs, they sound sweet to the ears, but that's part of the deception. Take a listen to this part of the song here. It's very relevant. How the whole world's a stage, and these are minions of Satan and those that control this world.
The sun in your eyes, the time of the lies we're believing. I am the eye in the sky, looking at you. I can read your mind. I am the maker of rules, dealing with rules. I can change your life.
Talking about the eye in the sky. I can read your mind, and I can cheat you blind. And that's a reference to their false god, like I said, Satan, their eye in the sky, complete mockery of God.
Next up, and finally, Paris 2024. The countdown is on for the Summer Olympics, and last night, our buddy Mike Tirico, our buddy, not Al, stopped by the Tonight Show with a few pals to make this special announcement.
It's an honor to be able to announce for the first time anywhere that this year at the Summer Olympics in Paris, the opening ceremony will be hosted by yours truly, Peyton Manning, and Kelly Clarkson.
Well, that's big news.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a different direction.
Yeah, kind of cool.
Also joining that crew, Savannah and Hoda, you guys will be down there. So explain the opening ceremonies. It'll be different than the cascade of athletes into the...
It's really different. I mean, it's going to be a flotilla of boats and athletes on them on the River Seine, and I think Hoda and I are going to be positioned. So I was hoping we'd be on a boat. I don't know. Maybe a bridge.
On a
bridge or something.
Bungee, like on a bungee.
Yeah, exactly.
Like at the bottom of the bungee, just sort of bouncing up.
And they're going to put a big tub of rosé at the bottom, so I'll have the motivation to jump. Yes.
The River
excited.
Rosé.
Yes.
That looks great. That'll be a lot of fun this summer there. Mark your calendars. Opening ceremonies kicks off on Friday, July 26th. NBC, Peacock, and Telemundo.
We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. With trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.
Old poster showing Baphomet. You go right there. Some more imagery here. Now understand that, again, the French connection. Of course, when the U.S. was established, by the Freemasons, the French constructed the so-called Statue of Liberty, which is nothing more than Apollyon or Apollo in disguise. Transgender image of Apollo passed off as a female. There's a construction in France. More images here of the so-called Statue of Liberty. Getting back to the 33 hoax code. Flight 93 in Shanksville. And of course, what do you have? 33 passengers. No plane crash there, of course. Just a quick little reference to 33 being their hoax code. Bill Gates fears global pandemic. This is regarding Ebola. Supposed Ebola virus outbreak could wipe out 33 million.
Now, I don't know if anyone saw the opening ceremony. I did catch some of it, but to be honest, after a while I just looked at it and thought, you know, this is just organised chaos. This looks like it's been thrown together at the last minute, and I kind of gave up after a while because of that. But some of the things that were going on in there, though, at some certain points just didn't feel right to me. I don't know if you saw this part where it looked like a black void opened up in the stage, and we had these shapes being formed by like entities, and it was exactly, I tell you what, it was exactly like that CERN production. Do you remember that weird production they made about CERN, where they had these shapes forming in the black void, like in the abyss? And that, it really didn't feel right to me, and this thing started coming up on the stage in Rio, and I was like, and actually it's pretty interesting because the Olympic flame, the Olympic torch itself, is in the middle of this sun wheel, which they keep showing, you know, every now and then on the Olympics. Just the Olympic flame, you know, is in this Shiva-looking sun wheel, which spins like a solar system around the sun. Really weird, completely new age, you know, like the Zoroaster fire worship. Looks very similar. This the Olympic torch this year is completely different. It's like a smaller version, but they've built this thing around the edge, which the creator of that structure around it has actually admitted that it represents the sun.
The Olympic Committee did not specify the exact design that they wanted me to make. They gave me fairly free rein. We went through several iterations. What we finally decided on was something that is most like the sun in its pulsing energy and reflectivity of light. Something that is most like the sun in its pulsing energy and reflectivity of light.
So this is tying into this whole pagan sun worship, and as my friend pointed out, that fire is the sun on earth to them, to the pagans, which represents the seed or zera in Hebrew, which points to Nimrod and Tammuz. No surprise there, considering the whole Olympics is around a big statue of Tammuz, the false Christ, in the shape of a T on the top of a hill in Rio. And speaking of the elements and the elemental forces and how pagans worship these things, the creation over the creator. So we have a lot surrounding fire as per usual, but you know, even the colour scheme of the Rio Olympics logo is representing earth, wind, fire. Earth, water and fire. And that is essentially what witchcraft is, you know, the manipulation of elemental forces. So yeah, totally pagan. And something I do find really strange is in the Rio 2016 logo, if you flip it on its side, you can see a subliminal reference in the 2016 to, firstly, the Leo astrological symbol, which I guess we're in August, and also to the what looks like the Capricorn astrological symbol. And it's pretty undeniable that these things are there and this occult world exists, and that these are pagan rituals, pagan worship, ceremonies, and that the symbols are everywhere, the agendas, the same agendas are everywhere. It just makes you think, you know, why do they do some of this stuff? Well, it's because the spiritual world exists, and these people are occultists, and there's involvement at high levels with Luciferians, pagans, theosophists. Frankists, Zionists, as we saw in the 2012 Olympics, the whole Zionist ritual that went on there, with the rise of the Phoenix in London. And I'm going to cut to the chase here. Solomon's Temple, an exact replica of Solomon's Temple, has been built very close to one of the main sites of the Olympics in Sao Paulo, and yet I haven't seen one mention across the media or any coverage, you know, as they show the monuments, the local cultures, and say they want to big up, express what Brazil is about and the surrounding areas, and show all of the monuments. I've not seen one mention of the Temple of Solomon, which is a huge building standing at 55 meters and stone imported from Israel. This thing is huge, and there's no, if not minimal, mention in the press. I've seen one article in the past which was kind of a subtle blasphemy at the same time in the way that it was worded. But throughout this entire coverage of the Rio Olympics, do you not think that's strange that they've not even mentioned or shown this huge structure? What is going on? You know, you'd have thought they'd want to at least show it off. Turn the camera slightly to the left so you can see this huge illuminated Templo de Solomeo in Sao Paulo. Considering, you know, the problems that have been there recently with the funding and everything, this, you'd think, is something that they would want to show off. But nope. The lack of media coverage of the Temple of Solomon really makes one wonder, you know, why are they not talking about it? Why are they not promoting or publicizing this to the world?
Stone imported from Israel will line the walls, floors, and the altar. Plans for this temple were drawn up in 2010, but will be ready for use in 2014, which is coming up in just a few months. So construction workers are busy at work, doing everything they can to have it ready in time for the grand opening this summer.
Now, of course, another agenda that's going on with this being in Brazil is climate change and green earth, go green, which I guess is kind of inevitable because it's in Brazil with the Amazon rainforest and that particular area of the world, the Vatican stronghold. But we are seeing over and over, both overtly and covertly, this green earth climate change agenda. You see these symbols, these runes flashing up, this broken Nero's cross, which is very anti-Christian, the crow's foot. You know, and it has got a lot of connections to like Nazism, Anton LaVey, Satanism. When it's flipped upside down, it's not the peace symbol, it's actually supposed to be to do with death. But this is completely anti-Christian in itself. It is a broken cross. It's Nero's cross. But these symbols here, this broken Nero's cross, crow's foot, when pointing upwards, because it's like the peace sign, this that flashed up here, but when pointing upwards, it's actually a symbol to do with fertility. So again, that birth of the new earth. There are some pretty unnerving things happening in the world as we speak. Some difficult times ahead, perhaps. But above all, trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, who fills us with his strength and peace and salvation, that the more we see these things coming, the more our hope grows, that we'll be going home to be with him in a better place, and all because of what he did when he came to this earth. And he's the most controversial figure to these people. They do not like Jesus Christ because they are trying to usher in the false Christ, the Antichrist, and this new age of deception. You know, the stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone, and it is marvelous.
And also the French connection when it comes to 9/11 with the Naudet brothers, the French crew, TV crew in New York, filming these firefighters during a drill. Let me fast forward here a little bit. This is the French connection. And again, the Naudet brothers, it's like Illuminati. Always a play with words. This camera crew, of course, being selected because they're French and the names involved. Again, the play on names. And also this video I uploaded earlier in the week, this was filmed by a French TV crew as well. Of course, Freemasons behind the scenes calling this. I want to point this out. I didn't state in the video. With Depeche Mode on top of the Twin Towers, Depeche Mode have nothing to do with the actual lyrics of the songs. There's people behind the scenes that write the song lyrics and they perform the song. Just like the performance on top of the towers was not their doing. There's people behind the scenes, their managers, their agents calling these shots. They're not the ones dictating anything. They are employed by the so-called elite that run the music industry.
Well, there it is, the biggest pyramid of Europe. So here in Holland is the biggest pyramid of Europe. It's 36 meters high. It has an obelisk on it. It was made by the pharaohs or their descendants for Napoleon and by the General Mormont. There were 18,000 men here. It's next to Utrecht in the middle of the Netherlands. And when Napoleon was in the pyramid in Egypt, he came out, he was completely pale and white, and his soldiers asked him, "Well, sir, what happened?" And he said, "Well, I don't want to tell you because you're not gonna understand. He's a pharaoh. He was a pharaoh, and something happened there." So here is the forest here all around, and yeah.
From the ashes, we rise up. We had Ash Wednesday. We want to rise up with Jesus at Easter. and I believe that there'll be some rising from this dying.
From the ashes, a new life is born. From the ashes, a new life is born. From the ashes, a new life is born. By your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. Rise from the ashes.
Thank you very much, Nadine. Bishop DiMarzio.
Certainly, it's a pleasure to be with you on this 71st annual Al Smith dinner. I'm grateful to Cardinal Dolan for inviting me to do this invocation. As we know, this has been a hard-fought campaign season. Last night was an exciting debate. I think most of us, including Secretary Clinton and Mr. Trump, are praying for this election to be over soon. So let us pray. Lord, you have favored our great nation with the ability to correct our faults and strengthen our democracy. We ask your blessing upon us at this time so that our nation may come together in unity to elect a president who will be mindful of the laws inherent in our human nature. Life is your greatest gift to us. Teach us to respect life from its natural beginning to its natural end. Help us to reach out to the marginalized in our society.
Everyone in attendance is doing their part in supporting our charitable efforts. It couldn't be done without you, or without the amazing support of the many devoted Catholics on stage. You know, Catholics like Henry Kissinger, Howard Rubenstein, Mort Zuckerman. One thing we can all agree on is the need to support the great work that comes out of the dinner. Millions of dollars have been raised to support disadvantaged children, and I applaud the many people who have worked to make this wonderful event a critical lifeline for children in need. And that we together broke the all-time record tonight is really something special. More than 6 million net. The Cardinal told me that's net, Donald, remember. We can also agree on the need to stand up to anti-Catholic bias.
Something else. That is the major feature behind the Pope that features inside the audience hall, namely this. Have you seen this before? I'd never seen it before myself and felt like I had entered the realm of the Mandela effect once again, on overload this time, since this is the most ominous thing I've ever seen in a while. This artwork was placed within the hall in 1977, as history states, and depicts, according to the Vatican, the resurrection of Christ emerging from a nuclear apocalypse. Now think to yourself for a moment. The audience hall is a reinforced concrete bunker, and the depiction of Christ shares the same connections with Christ himself rising from an atomic apocalypse. Not only that, but many people have said this is the most unchristian thing they have ever seen in a long time, even a number of Catholics I've talked to. For it looks like Christ's head is in fact missing, at least half of it. A number of Catholics don't even remember even seeing this before or looking at it, but it's been in the hall since, at least according to history, since 1977. The structure seems to have entered at least the internet's consciousness around 2012. I could find a couple of examples before that, but most seem to be post 2012, and there doesn't seem to be any pictures of it from the front. All seem to be taken from the side. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that because I found it really disturbing.
Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on. And an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm. God bless you all. And God bless America.
Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready. Kid. Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. What word? Kid. Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready. What word? Steal. Yes, steal. Read these words the fast way. Get ready. Play. Yes, play. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready. Kick. Yes, kick. Get ready. Steal. Yes, steal. Get ready. Play. Yes, play. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 150.
Something that we'll never forget. I think most of us can even remember where we were when we found out about what happened and what was going on. I'm sure it doesn't surprise most that are in the truth-seeking community in this time that 9/11 was a satanic ritual. Coming to that conclusion from many different angles, from many different ways, all leading to the same truth, that it was in fact representing the birthing of the new age of Antichrist, the ripping the veil, the bringing in of the beast police state system, and all manner of things, but also a blood sacrifice ritual into the wine press, Samson pushing down the two pillars.
It's an obelisk. It's a pyramid with an obelisk on it. They are here, all right. Oh yeah. So this thing was built in 1804 by Napoleon and for Napoleon, who felt himself as a pharaoh. Why else? They are here. What more proof do you want? Pyramid and an obelisk. Do you need any more proof? Well, what's a Pharaoh show? They're here and they're ruling.
He is the Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council.
Answer on the beat.
So here we're not far away at all of the Bilderberg Hotel where the Bilderbergs with this Prince Bernhard started. So this is the biggest pyramid of Europe, it says. Well, I don't understand everything, but it's like German. And they built it in 1804. It's 36 meters high. Well, Napoleon, he loved pyramids, eh?
Many of you missed your prom, sporting events, and celebration with your friends, but you were quick to find new ways to stay connected and active while remaining focused on finishing your education. You proved to the entire world that you can set your mind to something important, push through and succeed, showing all of us that you, our next generation, already possess the
President Trump, who attended Fordham, a Jesuit university, came face to face today with the first Jesuit pope. The rest is history.
Thank you for having fought courageously, steadfastly for so many months. Because yes, tonight. You won. France has won tonight. What we have done for so many months now is unprecedented. It has never been seen before. Everybody was telling us that it was impossible.
And today, on Sunday, 14th of May, this precise moment, we congratulate you very sincerely. Mr. President of the Republic, Chateaubriand wrote in a very...
Simply put, this country and this world benefit from your commitment to Jesuit principles, to being men.
As a graduate of another great Jesuit institution, Xavier University, I have great affection for the value and purpose of a Jesuit education.
If we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion,
Come on, try getting it out.
Ding, 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 bong.
That's all, folks.
I was very careful with Ernie collaborating with me every step of the way to be able to find the movie narrative inside this dense forest of Ernie's profound imagination.
The Oasis being the ultimate toy box with all the toys in the world, and then playing that with one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. It results in just amazing action and such a fun adventure.
Ernest Cline is such a visionary, and I think has seen the future before any of us possibly could even imagine it.